Hello and welcome along to this video. Mr. Johnson teaches Macbeth Act 3 Scene 2, another video and part of my series of quick revisions where I go through each and every scene of the play in order to help you revise and also revisit things that you may have forgotten. So Macbeth features as your English Literature GCSE. It's paper 1 and it's section A, so it is the first thing that you do for English, and so make sure you're prepared as you can be. This is a good scene to be watching. There's lots of really interesting things that happen in this scene, but also which are quite different to what's happened before. So let's move on as a quick summary. Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are both feeling insecure. Act 1, they find out the news that they could be king. Act 2, they kill the king. Act 3, Macbeth is now king, Lady Macbeth is now queen, but they're not feeling comfortably so. They are both having nightmares, firstly, and Macbeth still feels guilty for Duncan's murder. He hints about murdering Banquo in this scene, but doesn't actually reveal those plans to his wife, which is a really different shift, because up until this point they've been working really strongly together with everything. This is the first moment where he actually starts taking more control. The characters in this scene, quite simply, it is a scene between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. It's one of the few remaining ones. This is the only whole scene where we don't have any other characters featuring in it. So interesting to see one of the last times we have them together, and still before the second half of the play has still got to start as well. So let's go through it then. Act 3, Scene 2. This is the palace. Lady Macbeth is there with a servant, basically asking about Banquo. And then off goes the servant, and after being sent to get the king. Basically, she is saying on that first arrow there, we've got everything we want, and yet we are still full of doubt. We're not content. She says, where our desire is got, we've got what we desired, i.e. being king, but without content, we haven't got the joy that goes with it. Because then she goes on a couple lines down to talk about doubtful joy. While they're happy, it's full of doubt. And then enters Macbeth. She keeps talking and talks about his face, looking very unhappy. And then she goes on to say at the very bottom there, what's done is done. Don't keep thinking back on the things which have already happened, because you can't change them. And then he goes on to say, this is Macbeth, we have scotched the snake, not killed it. Basically means we've injured the snake. The snake in this sense being Banquo. A snake, and using the idea of a snake in sort of conversation is where somebody is like creepy and not honest and deceptive and tries to trick you. So by describing Banquo that way, they're twisting him to sound like a bad person, when in fact it's them, of course, who's committed murder. But he's basically saying is we've only half solved our problems there. He goes on my second arrow there to talk about these terrible dreams which shake us nightly. So again, that reveals this nightmare that they're having again and again following the murder of Duncan. It's almost like their natural world is punishing them. If you consider dreams part of a natural process, the fact that they can't dream and they're only having nightmares is almost like punishment from the natural world for what they've done, which is so unnatural, the killing of anyone, particularly a king. Further down, my third arrow down, he's talking about Duncan is in his grave. After life's fitful fever, he sleeps well. Treason has done its worst, as in going against the king is treason. So steel, poison, he basically gives a list of things. Nothing more can be done to him because he's now dead. He is sleeping well. I mean, ironically, being dead isn't a great thing, but at least it means he's resting, unlike them who are being punished. Lady Macbeth says this line, which is a really good one. Gentle, my lord, sleek o'er your rugged looks, like cover over your rugged, your unhappy looks. Be bright and jovial, which means happy, among your guests tonight. Which I put there as another example of deception, another example in the play of where look like one thing, even though you're feeling and thinking another. So it just continues that idea of sort of deception and duplicity. Macbeth goes on to talk there and says, keep flattering Banquo, he's hiding plans from his wife. By which I mean, he tells his wife to sort of keep being nice to Banquo, even though Macbeth at this point knows that he wants to have Banquo murdered. So this is a real moment of change where he actually is lying to his wife, because he knows that Banquo is not going to be around for much longer. He says on my second arrow there, make our faces visits to our hearts, disguising what they are. Basically, don't let our faces reveal what our hearts are feeling. Again, another reference to duplicity. Then Macbeth goes on to say, O full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife. Thou knowest that Banquo and his flayance lives. He's deeply unhappy. I've simplified it there to being "my mind is troubled," but I put it in pink because that's a really great quote that you could use to show the effect that's being had on Macbeth. Him saying that he feels like his mind is full of scorpions. My final thing down there is Macbeth almost is sort of talking about like the darkness and the evil, and there's loads of references to natural imagery there, which I've highlighted in yellow, but also it echoes the witch's spells, and even the bit that Lady Macbeth did in Act 1 Scene 5 where she talks about the raven is hoarse, come thick night make my blood thick, and all of this. He says at the very bottom, "Tonight there shall be done a deed of dreadful note." Oh, gone wrong way. She says what's to be done, and he says, "Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck," talking to her, "my dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed." So don't know anything until you're clapping what you discover I've done. He doesn't want to tell her. He's concealing his plans, and as I put my arrow there, it's a real change in the dynamic between the two, like the relationship between these two characters. Finally, my arrow there with all the yellow, we've got further references to natural imagery, but also evil imagery there as well. Look at the words in yellow, like night, bloody. Even when it talks about something positive like light, it's light thickens. When something thickens, that's normally an unpleasant process. Crow, rookie, droop and drowse are words associated with death. Night's black agents. He's talking about like devils and minions and all evil creatures there and their preys. Again, it all echoes the witch's spells, like he's conjuring up all these bad things in order to be able to do what he wants to do. Key themes in this scene then, well, definitely evil, as we've just touched upon there, but again, multiple references to deception, like hiding things from other people, and duplicity. This time, however, we've got them hiding things from other people, but now Macbeth is starting to hide things from his wife. So again, power is there because you've actually got a stronger power, if you like, with Macbeth in this scene. Those questions are ones to pause this screen on and have a go at, because they will test you on your understanding of what you've just watched. And if you can't answer one of those, then you need to go back and watch the video again, because then you will you'll revise and you'll learn. And finally, I wanted to dwell on it. I've mentioned it in my previous video, which was Act 1 Scene 7, but images of snakes come up a lot here. So reminder, it's a metaphor, it's a symbol of something you can't trust, something which hides from you, which again links the idea of deception and duplicity. But there's also this reference to the Bible, a biblical reference, where the devil took the form of a snake in order to tempt Adam and Eve, and at that point he was referred to as a serpent. So there you go. The end of this video for you. Do check out my other videos. It's worth going through all of them really at some point, just to make sure you're happy with the entire play. I wish you the very best of luck when it comes to your exams. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.